What if everything you thought about the future of transportation was completely wrong? For years, we've been told that electric cars are the ultimate solution, that batteries will replace engines, that gas stations will vanish, and that every car on the road will soon be plugged into a charger. But what if that's only half the story? Because just when the world seemed to accept a battery-powered future, Toyota's CEO has unveiled something that sounds almost impossible. An engine powered by water. Yes, water. Not gasoline. Not electricity. Water. It's not science fiction. It's not a viral hoax. It's a real innovation that could reshape the future of cars and threaten the very foundation of the electric vehicle revolution. Imagine a car that drinks water and breathes clean air. A vehicle with no emissions, no batteries to mine, and no long charging waits. If this technology works at scale, it could change everything, from energy policy to environmental goals to global auto markets. So how did we get here? And why is this such a shock? To get the full story, take a trip back with us to the beginning of the electric car revolution by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. The rise of electric cars. It all started with a growing problem the world could no longer ignore. For decades, our vehicles ran on fossil fuels, cheap, powerful, and everywhere. But they came with a cost: polluted air, rising carbon emissions, and a planet inching closer to climate disaster. By the early 2000s, scientists were sounding the alarm. Climate change wasn't a distant theory. It was real, visible, and accelerating. The world needed a bold solution, something that could challenge the status quo and reimagine what was possible. Then a disruptor arrived: Tesla. In 2008, a relatively unknown startup led by a risk-taking entrepreneur, Elon Musk, launched an all-electric sports car. It was fast, sleek, and had zero emissions. Critics scoffed. "It's a toy," they said. "No one wants a car that plugs into the wall." But the world was changing. Governments began offering generous subsidies, tax breaks, and incentives for electric vehicles. Norway, Germany, China, and California pushed hard for a cleaner future. By the 2010s, the EV wave was in full motion. Tesla wasn't just making cars, it was building an empire. Gigafactories, software updates, autonomous driving, it was more than transportation. It was a vision. Other automakers followed. Ford, GM, Mercedes, Hyundai, all rushed to join the revolution. Everyone, except one major player: Toyota. While the world went electric, Toyota took a different path. The Japanese giant, known for its reliability, innovation, and mass-market appeal, chose caution over chaos. They had already pioneered the hybrid movement with the Toyota Prius back in 1997, long before Tesla was a household name. The Prius became a symbol of eco-conscious driving, blending electric motors with traditional engines. So when full EVs became the buzz, Toyota hesitated. But why? Why would the world's most respected automaker, a company that literally invented the modern hybrid, decide to wait on going fully electric? The answer lies in something few saw coming. Toyota believed the rush toward full electrification was flawed, too expensive, too resource-intensive, and too dependent on unproven infrastructure. Their engineers were quietly working on alternatives. They questioned the long-term sustainability of lithium mining, the pressure on electric grids, and the environmental toll of battery production. Toyota wasn't asleep at the wheel. It was observing, strategizing, preparing. While Tesla raced ahead, Toyota watched. But was it simply falling behind? Or was it planning something bigger? Because in the shadows of the EV boom, Toyota was developing a radically different idea. One that didn't need a plug, a lithium mine, or even gasoline. A vehicle powered by water. But how does that even work? And could this really replace the electric dream? To understand this revolution, we need to look at the visionary driving it forward. The man turning heads across the global auto industry. Toyota's CEO. The man behind the revolution. Toyota's CEO. Behind every great revolution is a visionary. And behind Toyota's bold move away from the electric mainstream is a man who defied expectations. A leader not afraid to go against the tide. Meet Koji Sato, Toyota's current CEO. A quiet, calculated strategist with a background not in business, but in engineering. An executive who came up through the ranks by building cars, not just selling them. Before becoming the head of the world's largest automaker, Sato was best known for shaping the identity of Lexus, Toyota's luxury brand. He championed performance, precision, and clean energy long before it was fashionable. But even as the world demanded electric everything, Koji Sato held back. Why? Because to him, technology isn't about trend, it's about timing. Sato wasn't alone in this thinking. His predecessor and mentor, Akio Toyoda, grandson of Toyota's founder, also stirred controversy for questioning the electric car hype. In 2020, as other CEOs pledged to go all-electric by 2030, Toyota made headlines by warning, "The electric car is not a silver bullet." Critics blasted him. Environmentalists accused Toyota of stalling progress. Investors began asking whether the company had lost its edge. But behind the scenes, they weren't stalling. They were building something else. Both Toyota and Sato shared a radical belief. The future isn't one size fits all. They saw a world too complex for a single solution. Cities may need EVs, sure. But what about rural areas? Commercial transport? Nations with unstable power grids? What about the environmental cost of lithium mining and the short lifespan of batteries? So while others doubled down on electric, Toyota bet on diversity, hybrids, plug-ins, synthetic fuels, and most daringly, hydrogen. In an industry sprinting in one direction, Koji Sato chose to walk, deliberately, cautiously, and in a completely different lane. And now, with whispers of a working water-based engine, the world is starting to wonder, was he right all along? This isn't just about a new engine. It's about vision. And if Toyota's gamble pays off, it won't just be a comeback. It will be a redefinition of the future of mobility. But what exactly is this so-called water-powered engine? And how does it work? Let's know this. Toyota's water engine. Let's get one thing straight. Toyota hasn't discovered a way to pour water into your car and drive off into the sunset like some Hollywood sci-fi plot. But what they've done might be even more impressive. The so-called water-powered engine is built on a science we've known for centuries: electrolysis. At its core, water is made of two elements: hydrogen and oxygen. When you apply electricity to water in a process called electrolysis, the hydrogen separates. That hydrogen, light, invisible, and incredibly energy-dense, can then be used as fuel. This isn't burning hydrogen like gasoline. It's cleaner, smarter. Inside the vehicle, hydrogen is fed into a fuel cell where it reacts with oxygen from the air. The result? Electricity, which powers the car, and the only thing it emits is pure water vapor. No carbon monoxide, no tailpipe smoke, just a few harmless drops of water. But this isn't just a concept sketched on a whiteboard. Toyota has already built working vehicles using this exact technology. In 2014, they introduced the world to the Toyota Mirai, a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle powered by precisely this method. It looked like any other car, drove like one too. But under the hood, It was the future. The media called it ambitious. Skeptics called it too early. But Toyota kept going, refining the tech, shrinking the fuel cells, increasing range, and lowering costs. Behind closed doors, prototypes continued to evolve. Lighter, more efficient, and designed to work in everyday driving conditions. Now, Toyota's engineers are reportedly taking it even further, designing compact hydrogen engines that don't just use fuel cells but adapt internal combustion to run on pure hydrogen, burning clean and running strong, with zero CO2 emissions. This hybrid approach, between traditional engines and future fuels, might just bridge the gap between old and new. But there's a reason people are calling it a water engine. Because at the end of the day, all the hydrogen starts from water. That's the magic. That's the vision. A world where the most abundant element in the universe becomes the fuel that drives us forward. It's not just about building a car, it's about rewriting what fuel even means. And if Toyota succeeds, we may look back at lithium batteries the way we now look at steam engines, as a stepping stone. But can this technology scale? And is the world truly ready for hydrogen? To answer that, we need to understand exactly how this system works, and how it compares to the electric cars we know today. How Toyota's water engine works. So how does a car run on water? Well, it doesn't, not directly, but it starts there. At the heart of Toyota's innovation is a process known as electrolysis, a method so simple it's taught in high school science classes. You take water, H2O, and pass an electrical current through it. This splits the water into two gases, hydrogen and oxygen. The oxygen is released into the air. But the hydrogen, that's the prize. Hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe. It's light, energy-rich, and when stored correctly, can power everything from homes to rockets to, yes, even cars. Once the hydrogen is captured, compressed, and stored in high-pressure tanks inside the vehicle, it's sent to a component called a fuel cell. Here's where the real magic happens. Inside the fuel cell, hydrogen is combined with oxygen from the surrounding air. The chemical reaction creates electricity, the very power needed to run the car's motor. There's no combustion, no explosion, no smoke, and the only emission? Water vapor, just a thin stream of mist, quietly leaving the tailpipe, cleaner than the air in some cities. This system is at the core of vehicles like the Toyota Mirai, the company's first commercial hydrogen fuel cell vehicle, which has been quietly evolving since 2014. While the rest of the world focused on lithium batteries and charging stations, Toyota kept perfecting this alternative path. Fewer headlines, less hype, but steady progress. And here's where it gets interesting. Unlike traditional electric vehicles, EVs, which rely on large lithium-ion battery packs, the hydrogen-powered Mirai has no need for long charging times. Refueling a Mirai takes just about 3 to 5 minutes, comparable to filling a gas tank. In contrast, even the fastest EV chargers today take 20 to 30 minutes to deliver a significant charge. And that's under ideal conditions. Then there's the issue of battery degradation. Over time, lithium batteries lose capacity. Heat, repeated fast charging, and age all contribute. Which means your EV might not hold the same charge it once did after a few years. Fuel cells, however, don't degrade in the same way. They're built to last, and because they don't store electricity, only generate it, they're less prone to performance drop-off over time. Now, let's talk about resources. Electric vehicles depend heavily on rare materials, lithium, cobalt, nickel, most of which are mined in politically unstable or environmentally sensitive regions. Lithium extraction, for example, requires millions of liters of water and leaves behind toxic waste. Cobalt mining has been linked to child labor and severe ecological damage. Hydrogen, on the other hand, can be produced from renewable sources, including water and solar power. It's not without challenges, but its environmental footprint can be dramatically smaller if scaled correctly. In short, Toyota's hydrogen system doesn't just compete with EVs, it solves some of their biggest problems: faster refueling, longer-lasting tech, cleaner sourcing, and no compromise on performance. So why hasn't the world gone all in on hydrogen? One word: infrastructure. Hydrogen fueling stations are rare, mostly located in parts of Japan, California, and select areas in Europe. Building out a global hydrogen network is expensive, slow, and politically complex. And yet, Toyota is playing the long game. While other companies rush to meet EV quotas, Toyota is quietly investing in hydrogen ecosystems, partnering with governments, energy firms, and even competitors to lay the groundwork for what might be the next major shift in automotive history. And the technology itself? It's no longer theoretical. The Toyota Mirai is real. It's on the road. And it's just the beginning. Because if this system can be scaled, if production becomes cheaper, if refueling stations become common, then hydrogen won't just join the electric revolution. It might very well replace it. But this raises a bigger question. If Toyota's hydrogen innovation is so powerful, why hasn't it gone mainstream yet? And more importantly, what's stopping it from taking over tomorrow? The challenges facing water engine tech. It sounds almost too good to be true. A car powered by water. No emissions, no waiting hours to charge. Just clean hydrogen in and clean vapor out. But like every revolution, this one comes with obstacles. Big ones. The first challenge? Hydrogen production. Yes, water is abundant, but turning that water into usable hydrogen isn't free, and it isn't simple. Most of today's hydrogen is actually made from natural gas in a process called steam methane reforming. It's cheap, but far from green. In fact, it emits carbon dioxide, undermining the whole point of clean fuel. The truly clean method, electrolysis powered by renewable energy, is still expensive and energy-intensive. You're essentially using electricity to make another form of electricity. Critics say it's inefficient. Why not just use that electricity to charge batteries directly? Hydrogen is promising, they argue, but right now it's like using a gold spoon to eat ramen. Then comes storage. Hydrogen is the smallest, lightest molecule in the universe, and that makes it incredibly tricky to contain. It must be compressed to very high pressures, up to 700 times atmospheric pressure, or cooled to negative 253 degrees Celsius to be liquefied. That requires heavy-duty tanks, robust safety systems, and precise engineering. And while hydrogen itself isn't toxic, it's highly flammable. One small leak, one spark, and the result could be catastrophic. Of course, companies like Toyota have spent years perfecting this technology, designing tanks that are bulletproof, sensors that detect the tiniest leaks, and fail-safe systems that shut down instantly. But still, the perception lingers. And in technology, perception is everything. Then there's perhaps the biggest challenge of all: infrastructure. As of now, there are tens of thousands of EV chargers across the globe. And hydrogen stations? Just a few hundred, mostly in Japan, California, South Korea, and parts of Europe. If you want to drive a hydrogen car, you have to live near one of these rare fueling hubs. No station, no road trip. It's a chicken and egg problem. No cars means no stations. No stations means no incentive to build more cars. And yet, Toyota isn't backing down. They hear the criticism. They know the obstacles. But their response is always the same. We're not building for today. We're building for what's next. To them, this isn't about chasing headlines or short-term market wins. It's about resilience, diversity, a future with options, not limitations. The world needs more than one solution, and we intend to provide it. Yes, hydrogen has hurdles, but so did electric cars. So did solar energy. Every disruptive idea was once too expensive, too early, too risky, until it wasn't. So the question isn't, is hydrogen perfect today? The real question is, what if Toyota is simply ahead of its time?